For decades, stories about Pablo Escobar's hidden fortune have refused to die. Long after the Medellín Cartel collapsed and its infamous leader was killed, rumors continued to circulate across Colombia. Farmers claimed they had stumbled upon buried barrels of cash. Construction workers whispered about sealed rooms hidden behind concrete walls. Treasure hunters spent years searching remote hillsides, convinced that billions of dollars were still waiting beneath the ground. Many of these stories sounded too unbelievable to be true. Some were exaggerated over time, while others turned out to have surprising foundations in reality. Throughout the years, authorities have repeatedly uncovered hidden compartments, underground storage areas, and concealed safes connected to properties once controlled by Escobar or his associates. Although many caches contained little or nothing at all, every new discovery reignited one question that has fascinated investigators for more than 3 decades. How much of Pablo Escobar's fortune was never recovered? To understand why that question still matters today, it helps to understand the extraordinary scale of the empire he created. Born in Rio Negro, Colombia, and raised in nearby Medellín, Pablo Escobar came from a modest background. During his teenage years, he became involved in petty crime, gradually moving into larger illegal operations. By the late 1970s, he had recognized an opportunity unlike anything the criminal underworld had seen before. Demand for cocaine in the United States was rapidly increasing, while international law enforcement had not yet developed effective systems to combat large-scale drug trafficking. Escobar didn't invent the cocaine trade, but he transformed it into an industrial operation. Working alongside other traffickers, he helped build what became known as the Medellín Cartel, an organization responsible for moving enormous quantities of cocaine across international borders. Using aircraft, speedboats, hidden jungle airstrips, and sophisticated smuggling routes, the cartel generated staggering profits that quickly overwhelmed traditional money laundering methods. Cash began arriving faster than it could be counted. Former cartel accountant Roberto Escobar later claimed that millions of dollars arrived every single day. Employees reportedly spent hours simply stacking bundles of U.S. currency. Rubber bands, plastic wrapping, warehouses, and hidden storage rooms became everyday necessities. Even if some of these accounts have been debated over the years, investigators agree on one point. The cartel handled unimaginable amounts of physical cash. That created an unexpected problem. Banks could not safely process such enormous sums without attracting attention. Depositing billions of dollars through legitimate financial institutions would immediately expose the operation. Escobar needed another solution. Instead of keeping all of his money in one place, investigators believe the cartel dispersed its wealth across hundreds of locations. Luxury estates, ranches, abandoned warehouses, safe houses, rural farmland, and private residences were all believed to have been used as storage sites. Some contained hidden wall compartments. Others reportedly featured underground chambers protected by thick, reinforced concrete. Only a small inner circle allegedly knew where every cache was located. This strategy served 2 purposes. First, it protected the cartel from law enforcement raids. Even if one property was discovered, countless others remained untouched. Second, it protected Escobar from betrayal within his own organization. No single associate possessed complete knowledge of the network, making it nearly impossible for rivals to steal everything or cooperate fully with investigators. As Escobar's power expanded during the 1980s, so did his reputation for violence. Judges, police officers, journalists, politicians, and ordinary civilians became victims of the brutal conflict between the cartel and the Colombian government. Bombings, assassinations, kidnappings, and acts of terrorism turned parts of Colombia into battlefields. The enormous fortune hidden inside those secret locations was built upon years of fear, corruption, and bloodshed. Then everything changed. Following an international manhunt involving Colombian authorities with support from U.S. agencies, Escobar was killed on December 2, 1993, during a rooftop confrontation in Medellín. But his death created an entirely new mystery. His closest associates were arrested, killed, or disappeared. Secret codes were lost. Trusted couriers vanished. Construction workers who had unknowingly helped build hidden compartments often had no idea what had eventually been stored inside them. Investigators recovered millions of dollars after his death. Yet, according to many law enforcement officials, only a fraction of the cartel's wealth was ever accounted for. If that assessment was correct, then somewhere across Colombia, and perhaps even beyond, forgotten vaults, sealed chambers, and buried caches could still exist. Over the years, occasional discoveries seemed to support that possibility. Some produced genuine evidence. Others produced only more questions. And one discovery, made decades later during work on a former Escobar-linked property, would once again convince the world that the legend of Pablo Escobar's hidden vaults was far from over. The search for Pablo Escobar's hidden fortune never truly ended. While official investigations slowed after the 1990s, private property owners, historians, journalists, and even amateur treasure hunters continued uncovering pieces of a puzzle that refused to disappear. Every demolished mansion, abandoned ranch, or forgotten warehouse carried the possibility of revealing another secret. One of the most widely discussed discoveries occurred decades after Escobar's death, when a property once associated with him underwent major renovation. During demolition, workers noticed something unusual inside one of the reinforced walls. Behind layers of concrete sat a heavily protected compartment unlike anything found in an ordinary home. Construction immediately stopped. Engineers and investigators carefully examined the structure before opening it. The compartment had clearly been built intentionally. Thick concrete, steel reinforcement, and hidden access suggested it had been designed to remain unnoticed for decades. News of the discovery spread quickly. Speculation exploded across newspapers, television broadcasts, and online forums. Many believed billions of dollars in cash or gold bars were about to be uncovered. Others imagined priceless jewels, weapons, or evidence capable of exposing powerful figures who had secretly worked with the Medellín Cartel. But reality proved more complicated. Some hidden compartments connected to Escobar's properties were found empty. Others contained damaged cash that had been destroyed by years of moisture, insects, mold, and time. Criminal organizations often moved valuables long before authorities arrived, leaving behind little more than abandoned hiding places. Yet even empty vaults told an important story. Their sophisticated construction demonstrated just how carefully the cartel protected its assets. False walls, concealed entrances, underground chambers, and reinforced safes were not random additions. They were part of a carefully planned security system built to survive police raids and betrayals alike. Investigators studying these structures noticed another remarkable pattern. No two hiding places were exactly alike. Some compartments were hidden beneath staircases. Others disappeared behind fireplaces or inside garage floors. Rural properties sometimes concealed sealed drums buried beneath fields or livestock pens. Wealth was intentionally scattered across numerous locations, ensuring that no single discovery could cripple the organization. Former investigators later explained that this decentralized system frustrated authorities for years. Even after raiding dozens of cartel properties, they could never be certain they had found everything. Every recovered cache hinted at many more still waiting to be discovered. The challenge wasn't simply locating hidden rooms. It was determining which properties had actually been used by Escobar himself. During the cartel's peak, hundreds of homes, farms, warehouses, and businesses were controlled directly or indirectly through trusted associates and shell companies. Ownership records frequently changed, making it difficult to distinguish confirmed cartel properties from locations linked only through rumor. This uncertainty fueled countless legends. Some locals claimed entire tunnels connected luxury estates beneath the countryside. Others insisted forgotten maps still existed, locked away by surviving cartel members. Treasure hunters searched remote mountains using drones, metal detectors, and ground-penetrating radar, hoping to uncover what decades of official investigations had missed. Most searches ended in disappointment, but not all. Over the years, Colombian authorities recovered millions of dollars hidden inside barrels, sealed containers, and concealed rooms. Several discoveries included gold, firearms, communication equipment, and records connected to cartel operations. While these recoveries represented only a tiny fraction of the cartel's estimated wealth, they confirmed one important fact. Escobar had indeed hidden enormous quantities of valuable assets. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of these discoveries wasn't the money itself. It was the paperwork. In several raids conducted during and after the cartel's downfall, investigators recovered handwritten records documenting shipments, payments, coded transactions, and financial operations. These documents helped prosecutors understand how the organization moved money across continents and maintained influence through bribery and intimidation. The records painted a picture of an operation run with surprising discipline. Every shipment was tracked, every payment recorded, every trusted associate assigned a specific role. Despite leading one of history's most violent criminal organizations, Escobar relied on detailed bookkeeping to manage an empire spanning multiple countries. That attention to organization also extended to his hidden storage network. Former associates suggested that only a handful of trusted individuals knew the locations of the most valuable caches. Some hiding places may have existed only in coded notes understood by Escobar himself. When he died in 1993, much of that knowledge disappeared forever. This explains why, even today, occasional discoveries continue to make international headlines. Each newly uncovered compartment raises the same possibility. Could there still be another vault waiting beneath an ordinary home? Could another forgotten safe remain sealed behind concrete after more than 30 years? Or has time already destroyed whatever was left behind? The answers may lie in one of the most surprising claims to emerge decades after Escobar's death, a story involving a family member who insisted he had uncovered another secret hiding place containing mysterious objects that money alone could never explain. More than 25 years after Pablo Escobar's death, most people believed the search for his hidden fortune had become little more than legend. The Medellín Cartel had collapsed, many of its leaders were gone, and countless former safe houses had been abandoned or sold to new owners. Then, in 2020, a new story captured headlines around the world. Nicolas Escobar, one of Pablo Escobar's nephews, publicly claimed he had located a concealed compartment inside a Medellín apartment that had once been connected to his uncle. According to Nicolas, he had experienced what he described as a strong intuition that led him to inspect a section of the property that had long gone unnoticed. Behind a hidden wall, he claimed to have found a secret storage area. Photographs released afterward showed a narrow, concealed space containing several unusual objects. Nicholas stated that the compartment held old U.S. banknotes, a vintage typewriter, a gold-colored pen, communication equipment, and personal items that he believed had belonged to Pablo Escobar. His most dramatic claim involved the money. According to Nicholas, millions of dollars had once been stored inside the compartment. However, after decades trapped behind the wall, nearly all of the banknotes had been destroyed by moisture, mold, and decay. The bundles had reportedly fused together, making them almost worthless as currency. Experts noted that this outcome was entirely possible. Paper currency stored in damp environments for many years can rapidly deteriorate, especially without climate control. Even if enormous sums had once been hidden there, time itself had become one of the greatest enemies of the fortune. The discovery immediately sparked worldwide attention. Some believed Nicholas had uncovered one of the last forgotten hiding places connected to Escobar. Others questioned whether every detail of the story could be independently verified. That skepticism was understandable, because many cartel properties changed ownership several times after the early 1990s. Verifying the exact history of every building remains difficult. Historians generally agree that secret compartments existed in numerous Escobar-linked properties, but individual claims about specific discoveries often rely heavily on personal testimony rather than official forensic investigations. Regardless of the debate, the story highlighted an important reality. Even decades later, people continue finding hidden spaces in buildings once associated with the cartel. Some contain nothing. Some contain forgotten documents. Others reveal construction techniques that demonstrate just how carefully these concealment systems were designed. Investigators studying former cartel properties have identified several recurring methods. Walls were sometimes built several inches thicker than necessary, creating narrow chambers invisible from either side. Floors occasionally concealed steel hatches covered by fresh concrete. Large furniture pieces were positioned permanently over hidden access points. In rural locations, underground drums were buried beneath livestock pens or agricultural fields where constant activity helped disguise any disturbance to the soil. Every hiding place reflected the same philosophy. Never place everything in one location. Never allow every secret to be known by one person. And always assume betrayal is possible. This strategy protected the cartel during its rise. Ironically, it also ensured that much of its hidden wealth became impossible to recover after its downfall. Many investigators now believe countless caches were simply forgotten. Trusted couriers were arrested. Property managers disappeared. Construction workers who built secret rooms often never learned what they contained. When the organization collapsed, the chain of knowledge collapsed with it. Modern technology has certainly improved the search. Ground-penetrating radar, drones equipped with advanced imaging systems, thermal cameras, and digital mapping tools allow investigators to inspect properties far more efficiently than authorities could in the 1980s. Even so, technology has limitations. A vault emptied years earlier leaves little evidence. Natural erosion changes landscapes. Buildings are renovated repeatedly. Entire neighborhoods have been rebuilt since Escobar's era. Finding a hidden chamber today is often like solving a puzzle, with most of its pieces missing. Perhaps the greatest misconception surrounding Escobar's fortune is the belief that every hidden cache contained mountains of perfectly preserved cash. Reality is often much less dramatic. Moisture destroys paper. Flooding ruins packaging. Rodents chew through bundles. Insects nest inside storage areas. Even millions of dollars can become worthless after decades underground. Investigators have repeatedly encountered damaged currency that could never legally re-enter circulation. For that reason, historians increasingly argue that the greatest discoveries are not necessarily financial. Documents, coded notebooks, photographs, communication records, and construction plans provide a far clearer picture of how the Medellín Cartel operated than decaying stacks of money ever could. Those records help explain how one criminal organization expanded from local smuggling into a multinational enterprise that challenged governments and reshaped Colombia's modern history. Yet one question still remains unanswered. If authorities recovered only part of the cartel's assets, if secret compartments continue to appear decades later, and if many people who knew the locations died without revealing them, how many vaults remain undiscovered? That mystery has never been solved. More than 3 decades have passed since Pablo Escobar died on a rooftop in Medellín, yet the mystery surrounding his hidden fortune continues to capture the world's imagination. Every few years, another headline appears announcing a newly discovered compartment, an abandoned safe, or a forgotten property once linked to the Medellín Cartel. Each discovery sparks the same question. Could billions of dollars still be hidden somewhere? No one knows the exact answer. Financial investigators agree that Escobar's organization generated extraordinary amounts of money during its peak. However, determining how much was spent, seized, laundered, stolen by rivals, or simply lost over time is nearly impossible. Criminal enterprises rarely keep complete records, and many of those who managed the cartel's finances were killed, imprisoned, or disappeared after its collapse. What is certain is that Colombian authorities recovered only a portion of the cartel's assets following Escobar's death. Luxury homes, vehicles, aircraft, ranches, and millions of dollars in cash were confiscated. But experts believe those recoveries represented only part of the organization's true wealth. The missing remainder has fueled decades of speculation. Some believe forgotten vaults still lie beneath abandoned farms or former safe houses, waiting for an accidental discovery. Others argue that much of the money was secretly moved by surviving cartel members long before authorities arrived. There's also a practical possibility that enormous amounts of cash simply deteriorated beyond recovery after years buried underground in Colombia's humid climate. Ironically, money that once seemed limitless may have become worthless through neglect. Paper decays. Plastic wrapping breaks down. Metal containers rust. Water seeps into hidden chambers. Nature patiently destroys what humans try to preserve forever. This reality has changed the focus of modern investigations. Today, historians and law enforcement officials are often more interested in documents than dollars. Handwritten ledgers, coded notebooks, photographs, maps, and communication records provide valuable evidence about how the Medellín Cartel operated, how corruption spread through institutions, and how international trafficking networks functioned during one of the most violent periods in Colombia's history. Those discoveries serve a far greater purpose than recovering forgotten cash. They preserve history. They help investigators understand organized crime. And they remind future generations of the devastating human cost behind the cartel's enormous fortune. It is easy to become fascinated by stories of hidden vaults filled with money and gold. They sound like scenes from an adventure film. But behind every rumor lies a much darker reality. Escobar's wealth was built through cocaine trafficking, widespread violence, kidnappings, assassinations, bombings, and corruption that claimed thousands of lives. Families were torn apart, public officials were targeted, innocent civilians became victims, and entire communities lived under constant fear. The hidden vaults, whether empty or full, are not monuments to success. They are reminders of the consequences of unchecked criminal power. Perhaps that is why the mystery continues to endure. Each newly discovered compartment offers another glimpse into a world built on secrecy. Every hidden room reveals the extraordinary lengths taken to conceal wealth. Yet every discovery also reinforces a deeper truth. No vault was strong enough to protect the empire forever. In the end, the concrete walls survived longer than the organization that built them. The steel doors remained locked after the people holding the keys were gone. The buried cash, where it still exists, cannot restore the lives that were lost. And the greatest secret was never where the money was hidden. It was how one man convinced thousands of people that fear could be more valuable than fortune. Today, tourists visit Hacienda Napoles as a theme park. Former cartel properties have become museums, businesses, or private homes. Colombia has worked for decades to move beyond one of the darkest chapters in its history, even though the legacy of that era still lingers. As for the legendary vaults, some have been opened, some were empty, some contained evidence that helped historians piece together the story of the Medellín Cartel, and many may never be found at all. Perhaps somewhere beneath an ordinary field, behind an aging concrete wall, or beneath the floor of a forgotten building, another hidden chamber still waits in complete silence. Whether it contains stacks of ruined currency, old documents, or absolutely nothing, one thing is certain. The mystery of Pablo Escobar's secret vaults has become larger than the treasure itself. It has become part of history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deeply researched stories exploring history's greatest mysteries and the truth behind the legends.